This week in the Mainly Moonology podcast, I'm going to give you an overview of the astrology for 2024. And I'm also going to give you all the details you need to do a chant that I know so many of you absolutely love. And it's not just me talking about it, but it's actually the person who taught me the chant. So you're going to get proper teaching on how to do that famous Hari Om chant. So today I'm welcoming my lovely friend Nathalie. We are here in my garden in London and we've just done a puja. And I did ask Nathalie if she would agree to talk to me a little bit about the what I call the Hari Om mantra, but I think it's more correctly called the chakra-clearing mantra. Mm-hmm. And it's a mantra that's been taught to quite a few of us in India. So thank you, Nathalie. So can I just tell you my little story of this chakra clearing?
Yeah.
Okay, it's quite a funny story. Makes me look quite bad, but that's okay.
Okay.
So I was in India and actually I was about to leave India. This was about 5-6 years ago. And Nathalie, you came up to me and you said, "Oh, Yasmin, before you go, I'd really like to teach you a mantra." And I said, "Oh, okay, sure." I've known Nathalie since before I had Louis, so at least 18 years now. And I said, "Sure, okay." And so we went up onto the rooftop of the guest house at the ashram in India, the Sri Narayani Peetham, which is where Nathalie lives and where I've been going on and off for about 18, 20 years now. And she taught me this mantra, which goes Hari Om, Nam Lam, Mam Vam, Sim Ram, Vam Yam, Yam Ham, Shiva Om, Swaha. And I was like, first of all, the one thing I really remember was asking her, "How do you remember that?" And she said, "I don't know, you just keep doing it and you just start to remember." And I'm like, okay, fine. And this is the mantra that I've shared with many of you many times at workshops, online, offline, in person, videos, and people absolutely love it. And I'm always like, I can't really teach it because I don't really know enough about it, but this is what it is and you can just chant along. Anyway, so I got this beautiful mantra, went off, and I can't remember now if it was later that day or a few days later. I was talking to someone who's a bit of an expert in mantras, who will remain nameless. And I said, "Oh, yeah, Nathalie taught me this fantastic mantra." And this person said, "Oh, yeah, it's not a bad mantra, but it's not like a really super powerful one. It's not that amazing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was like, "All right." So I just forgot about it. And it was at a period in my life where I was lucky enough to go to India twice in about the space of 3 months. I must have been going to Australia once, and once was just a normal trip or whatever. So 3 months later, I find myself back at the ashram, completely forgotten about this mantra. And I'm in the guest house dining room, and Chamundai, who we both know and love, comes up and goes, "Oh, everybody, I'm going to be teaching a mantra this afternoon in my room. Who wants to learn?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll learn a mantra." So off we toddle to Chamundai's room in the afternoon, and she sits us all down. There's about 3 of us and her. And she goes, "Right, here's the mantra. Hari Om, Nam Lam, Mam Vam," exactly the same mantra. So I always took that as a sign that I had actually been arrogant and, been influenced by this person who's like, "Oh, no, that's not a big mantra." So I then promptly went away and forgot it. But everything that happens at the ashram is really divinely guided. So you taught me that mantra for a reason, which probably was so I could go off and share it out in the world without either of us knowing it. But because I then forgot about it, then 3 months later I'm back and I'm taught it again. And to me, it was a really big sign that I was meant to have this mantra in my life. Did you know that story?
I didn't know that story. It's wonderful.
It's funny, isn't it?
It is great.
It's just so funny because I feel like I was, not in my ego per se, but just kind of like forgetting that everything that happens in these divine places happens for a reason. I was talking to Natalie before we hit record. You can't remember why you taught it to me.
No, it's not that I can't remember why in particular, but I would imagine that I would have taught it to you because Amma would have taught it to us. And the guidance that we were given, which I remember very clearly at the time, was that this was like medicine, this mantra. I mean, all mantra is medicine, but this one in particular, because it is about clearing. It's about each. So you have each sound is actually the root sound of
The seed.
the seed sound, of each chakra. And when you chant it, it's actually helping clear and also strengthen each chakra. So as you go through the chakras of the body, you're clearing and strengthening the chakras. And it was specifically told to us not to do it too much because it really is like medicine. So it's literally, you only do it 10, 12, 13, 14 minutes per day. And what actually ended up happening is some people started doing the mantra, and one person was complaining to Amma saying that there was all this anger that had come because this person was doing like 45 minutes a day.
Right.
And anyway, Amma just laughed and said, well, of course you don't do it 45 minutes because it's then activating the chakras too much.
Right.
So that's why you really just take it as medicine. You just do it. Do one session for about 10 to 13, 14 minutes, and that's it. And then you do it again the next day.
So I remember talking to Amma many years ago about mantra, and Amma said, it's really powerful to chant it, and it's even more powerful to do it silently.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk about that? I mean, if we do we can do the mantra in a minute, but like, should people do it silently, out loud, listen to it on headphones, or is it all good?
Look, I think it's all good. But yeah, Amma has definitely said that doing them silently is stronger. So you've explained what mantra means, right? The actual word
we
man
haven't
and tra.
Today.
Okay, so man is the soul, and the tra is either through, so it's something that goes through the soul. So mantras are about strengthening the soul, or the word tra, the sound tra can also mean tool.
Yeah.
So it's a tool for the soul. So when we're dealing with mantra, we're really dealing about strengthening the soul, which is what everybody needs on this planet at the moment.
Yeah.
Considering how how difficult it is for everyone. So so the mantra is really the tool for the soul, or something that goes through the soul. In terms of the actual, whether it's said out loud or internally, I'm always says do it at first out loud, because it's like you're having your training wheels, so you can become it becomes automatic, and then once you've really got it automatically, then you can go internally. But until while you're learning, keep doing them out loud and listening to them out loud.
And like when you're saying like do it 10, 14, 15 minutes a day max.
That's only for the chakra healing one.
Right.
For Om Namo Narayani, for example, you can chant that all day. So I don't know.
All day, every day.
Every day, yeah. Like when I had cancer, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2009. And so from the very moment I was diagnosed, I chanted Om Namo Narayani internally all the time. When I was at the doctor's appointments, waiting, going in for scans, I just chanted and chanted and chanted, because I really wanted to, I wanted to firstly just strengthen my soul, because I knew I was going to have to go through very heavy treatment. But I also was, while I was chanting, I was also visualizing my tumor reducing, because I wanted the tumor to disappear, because I didn't want treatment. But so I did that
and it did actually shrink by half.
It did shrink by half, yeah, within the 8 weeks that I was chanting, and the result of that was that I didn't have to have 6 months of chemotherapy. I just had to have the radiation.
Right. Yes.
And yeah, but even when I was in my radiation room, I was chanting like from morning to night. But I told you, right, about the
nurse. Yes.
Yeah.
Can I tell?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So where we go in India, the ashram is the ashram of Sri Shakti Narayani Amma, and the name of the nurse, she had her little badge on. And what was it?
No, I actually you were the person I spoke to, because they'd just given me morphine. I'd had radiation. I was having it every hour for 20 to 25 minutes. And for the first 24 hours, they forgot to give me morphine.
Oh my God.
And then they realized I didn't have morphine. So I was chanting and chanting, just thinking, look, I've just got to go through this as a spiritual being. I can't go through this as a physical being because it's just too horrific. And I was chanting and chanting, but being radiated, you're being burnt alive. So 20 to 25 minutes every hour. And after the first 17, 18 hours, I completely lost my shit. Excuse my language, but I completely lost it. And I just burst into tears. And I just started praying to God and saying, look, I don't know why I have to go through this, but I'm so out of my mind. I can't even chant the name of Narayani, who is like Mother Earth, the Divine Mother. So I can't even chant it. I just said, look, I just give up. And I just was surrendered it all. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. And exactly at that time, the next time the nurses could come into my radiation room, they actually then realized they had no painkillers or, morphine. So that's when they decided that they gave me morphine. And then, so I was on morphine. And then the next time that the nurse came in was actually the nurse called Narayani. And I called you and I said, Yasmin, my nurse is called Narayani, because you were in Paris at the time. And so that's where the treatment was happening. And you said, are you on morphine? Are you on morphine?
Are you sure you're not hallucinating?
Yeah. And I said,
you took a photo.
Yes, I'm on morphine. And you said, yeah, I'm hallucinating. And so then I had to take a photograph of her badge. And then you were like, oh my gosh.
I mean, how many nurses come along called Narayani?
Yeah.
Hello.
And the amazing thing was that I said to her, look, I've been going to India all these years, and I pray to the goddess Narayani, who's Mother Earth or Mother Nature, the Divine Mother. But I said, I've never, ever met a human being called Narayani.
I don't think I have either.
And she said, well, I've lived in Paris for 20 years, and I've never met someone who knows my name.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
All right. So let's talk about this chakra chant a bit more. So who wrote it or invented it? Is it an Amma chant, or is it a well-known Indian chant?
All mantras come from nature. So all mantras already exist, and they get, Amma revives them basically and then shares them to the world to heal people and to help people and to give them strength. So all mantras come from nature, and basically they were written down by the rishis or the sages, and then they've been passed through generations orally. So a mantra, if you write it down, has no power, but as soon as you chant it or think it, that's where the power comes.
Right. So shall we do the famous chakra clearing chant?
Sure.
And now you get to learn it from the same person I learned it from. So what do we need to do, Nathalie?
Okay, well, you just sit comfortably, or if you can lie down on your bed or on the floor. What's important when you're chanting a mantra is to have a straight back.
Mm-hmm.
And
any reason why?
Oh, well, because that's where the energy is coming through. And so you're starting with the base chakra, and which is the color red, and then what we're doing is with each sound we're going up the chakras to the very, very top, and then you're chanting and to then come down to the bottom again.
Okay. And the swaha in there?
The swaha. So yeah, you were saying with Om Namo with Shiva, but you can also say it with Om Namo Narayani at the end too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
But also because if you actually look at the reason that there's the Shiva is if you actually look at the different sounds as you're going up the chakra, each sound of the chakra is actually Om Namah Shivaya.
Yes.
So which is actually the masculine divine. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Will you chant us? Will you do it 3 times?
Okay.
All right, here we go. So amazing. I know Kulreet, who ran the holistic center at the ashram for a long time. She says she wakes up every morning and does that for 10 minutes in her pajamas.
Yep.
So, Nathalie, just while I've got you,
Yes.
so you've been living at the ashram now for how many years?
14 years.
14.
Yep.
And how do you find it? What's it like?
Living there. Well, it's what's it like? It's the most unique place on this planet at the moment.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. You have a living teacher who is who has omnipresent consciousness and is an example of pure unconditional love and kindness, and is the most extraordinary teacher I've ever come across.
Me too.
You know, the teachings are about love, devotion, and service to humankind, and very, very simple teachings. And Amma lives really the most simplest life of a person I've ever seen too, while also being of incredible service to humanity, and just does an extraordinary work. I'm a volunteer there, so I take care of the environmental program called Green Shakti, where we plant millions of trees, and it's a lot of work, like physically. You know, it's not like we just sort of sit around and go all day. We're definitely out there doing stuff, and then there's also a lot of meditation and a lot of devotional practice, and it's a place which is really attracting more and more people. So we have the world, basically people from all corners of the world coming, which is also quite extraordinary.
And there's a guest house for anyone. I know a lot of people have said to me they'd love to go there one day.
Yeah, there's a guest house, and there's also the Ayurvedic Center, the Sri Narayani Holistic Center, which is an amazing place with treatments and very, very capable doctors, and where people really get amazing experiences of healing there too. And there's opportunities to go and volunteer at the school, or to volunteer with tree planting, or there's so much to do. It's in rural India. It's like 3 hours drive from Chennai, which is in South India. So it's very, very beautiful. It's full of banana trees and coconut trees, and it's very subtropical. Life is very simple there, and the people are very, very kind. People really live from the heart. It's been my experience. Yeah.
So if you're feeling the call, what would you say to someone who's listening to this thinking, oh my God, I want to go there?
Go to the website narayanipedam.org, Narayani, Pedam, PEEDAM.org. And there's all the information there, and you can find out how to get there, and write an email, and we can guide them.
So I'll just tell you my little story how I got there. I was in a coffee shop in Bondi, having a chat to a friend saying, I'm going to India, don't know what I'm going to do, probably do a bit of yoga. Nadav, who we both know, many of you will know Nadav, who's an amazing mantra singer, brother of Idor. And Nadav leans over and says, oh, Yasmin, did you say you're going to, he was just sort of listening into my conversation, as you do at a communal table in a cafe. Did you say you're going to India? And I said, yes. And he said, oh, you should go to the Sri Narayani Pedam. I'm like, oh, okay. So I go home. It all falls into place. I get there, and Amma says, Yasmin came very quickly. I'm like, right. And he says, Amma, Yasmin heard the call 10 days ago, and she's here now. And I'm like, yeah. And Amma said, and sometimes it can take up to 10 years for people to come here. So if you're hearing the call, I would highly recommend it. It's an amazing place, isn't it? Like, as you say, probably one of the most amazing places on the planet.
Yeah.
And Narayani, Amma Narayani, the teacher, they are, I mean, like you say, very simple teachings from Amma, and yet so profound.
Yeah.
I mean, and, you know, it doesn't matter how many which ways you test Amma. You know, I remember one more story. I remember once being there back in the day. It was very early on. You'll probably be able to work out who I'm talking about if you think hard enough about it. There was someone there who was kind of driving everybody crazy with her antics, and just sort of bossing people around a bit and say, you go over there, and oh, you don't know anything about Hinduism, and all this sort of stuff. And I remember talking to Amma about this, almost like trying to get a bit of a, just be nice, or, being to be told something of sympathy for this person who was being a bit bossy, another devotee or another visitor there. And I remember Amma was just filled with love for this person, the same way Amma is filled with everybody.
Yeah.
And I just thought, in a way, it was almost like the mark of the guru, who didn't have the slightest iota of anything that I was feeling in my little egoic, like, wow, she keeps pushing me out of the way and she's doing this and she's doing that. And I was like, just love, just love. So it's really just love there, isn't it? Yeah.
Love, and how can we serve humankind?
Yes.
And it's like we can serve humankind in in the simplest ways, just being kind to the next person we meet.
Yes.
And Alma says, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, or if you're a teacher, or a taxi driver, or whatever you are, but it's just about being love in your daily life and with every person that you meet.
Yeah. And I'm just going to finish by saying Nathalie is actually in London because she's editing a new book that she's working on. Nathalie's an artist. And we'll go into it more when you've got all your website and everything in place. But it's going to be very interesting. It's art that you did when you were going through that treatment for cancer all those years ago.
That's right, yeah. And also the recovery process.
And the recovery.
Yeah.
So is it going to be about artist therapy a little bit? Or?
No, it's more about the creative force and how we can use the creative force to get through very difficult times in our lives.
There we go. All right, well, Om Namo Narayani.
Thank you.